Every hour you spend entertaining yourself is an hour someone else spends building the life you want. While you're watching other people live their dreams on screen, they're creating content that profits from your attention. While you're consuming endless feeds of other people's achievements, they're developing the skills that generate real wealth. The entertainment industry has convinced you that relaxation equals consumption, that you deserve constant stimulation, that feeling good should be easy and immediate. But this mindset has turned you into a professional consumer in a world that rewards creators. Your destiny is not in the next video, the next post, or the next notification. It's in the boring, unglamorous work that you keep avoiding because your brain has been hijacked by artificial rewards. The people you admire are not more talented than you. They're just more comfortable with being uncomfortable. Your phone buzzes. You reach for it without thinking. Another notification, another small rush of excitement. You scroll through endless feeds, watch quick videos, feel that familiar spark of pleasure lighting up your brain. Minutes turn into hours, days turn into weeks, years slip away. And somewhere in the background of your consciousness, a voice whispers the question you're afraid to ask. What happened to my dreams? I want to tell you about Marcus. Marcus was brilliant. At 25, he built a company that was generating 6 figures in revenue. He had vision, he had drive, he had everything going for him. But Marcus had a secret weakness. Every time his business required difficult decisions, complex problem solving, or sustained focus, he would find himself reaching for his phone. A quick check of social media, a funny video, a news article. Just 5 minutes, he told himself. Just a brief mental break. Those 5 minutes became 10. 10 became 30. 30 became 3 hours of mindless scrolling, comparing his life to others, consuming content that added nothing to his purpose. Marcus was feeding his brain with instant gratification while starving his destiny of the focused attention it desperately needed. Within 2 years, Marcus lost everything. His business collapsed, his savings disappeared, his relationships crumbled, but the most tragic part wasn't what he lost, it was what he never became. Marcus never discovered what he was truly capable of because he chose the easy dopamine hit over the hard work of transformation. Marcus represents millions of people walking this earth right now. They have incredible potential locked inside them, but they've become addicted to a drug more powerful and more accessible than anything ever created by human hands. This drug doesn't come in a bottle or a needle. It comes through your screen, through your speakers, through every device designed to capture and monetize your attention. You see? We live in the first generation in human history where pleasure is available instantly, constantly, and without effort. Your ancestors had to work for their entertainment. They had to create their own music, tell their own stories, build their own games. But you can access infinite entertainment with the touch of a finger. And this accessibility is rewiring your brain in ways that make it nearly impossible to do the hard work that creates lasting success. Every time you choose instant gratification over delayed satisfaction, you're training your brain to expect rewards without effort. You're teaching yourself that feeling good should be easy, fast, and constant. But here's what nobody wants to tell you. Everything meaningful in life requires the exact opposite. Everything that matters demands that you feel uncomfortable. Work hard and wait patiently for results. Think about this carefully. When was the last time you sat in complete silence for 30 minutes without reaching for any form of stimulation? When did you last spend an entire day working on something important without checking your phone, without background music, without any artificial excitement? If you're honest, you probably can't remember. And that's exactly the problem. Your brain has become dependent on artificial stimulation. It's like a muscle that's been fed steroids for so long that it can't function naturally anymore. You've lost the ability to find satisfaction in simple, meaningful work. You've lost the capacity to be present with your own thoughts. You've lost touch with the quiet voice inside you that knows your true purpose. This isn't your fault. You didn't choose to be born into a world designed to hijack your attention. But it is your responsibility to understand what's happening and take action to reclaim your mental freedom. The entertainment industry spent billions of dollars studying your brain to figure out exactly how to keep you hooked. They hired neuroscientists, psychologists, and behavioral experts to create products that trigger your dopamine system more effectively than any natural reward ever could. They designed algorithms that learn your weaknesses and exploit them. They created content that makes reality seem boring by comparison, and it's working. The average person now spends over 7 hours a day looking at screens. 7 hours of their precious, irreplaceable life force being drained into someone else's profit margins. 7 hours that could have been spent building something meaningful, developing their talents, serving their community, or connecting with their loved ones. But the real tragedy isn't the time wasted. It's the destiny abandoned. Every hour you spend consuming mindless content is an hour you're not spending becoming who you were meant to be. Every moment of artificial pleasure is a moment stolen from authentic purpose. You were not created to be a consumer. You were designed to be a creator. You have gifts, talents, and abilities that the world desperately needs. But those gifts can only be developed through focused effort, sustained attention, and disciplined practice. None of these things are possible when your brain is constantly seeking its next dopamine fix. The most successful people in history, the inventors, the artists, the leaders, the innovators, they all had one thing in common. They learned to find deep satisfaction in the process of creation itself. They didn't need external stimulation to feel alive because they were connected to something greater than themselves. They understood that true fulfillment comes not from consuming pleasure, but from contributing value. Right now, you have a choice to make. You can continue down the path of instant gratification, trading your potential for temporary pleasure, watching your dreams fade as your attention gets scattered across 1,000 meaningless distractions. Or you can choose the harder path, the path that leads to authentic fulfillment, genuine success, and the full expression of your unique purpose. This choice will determine everything about your future. Because on the other side of your discipline lies the life you've always wanted to live. Your brain doesn't care about your dreams. Let me say that again because it's crucial you understand this. Your brain doesn't care about your dreams, your goals, or your destiny. Your brain has one primary job: to keep you alive and conserve energy. And right now, your brain believes that scrolling through social media, watching videos, and seeking instant pleasures is the best way to accomplish that job. This is why willpower alone will never be enough. You're not fighting against bad habits. You're fighting against millions of years of evolutionary programming that's being exploited by technology your ancestors never had to face. When you get a like on social media, when you hear that notification sound, when you watch an entertaining video, your brain releases a chemical called dopamine. Think of dopamine as your brain's reward system. It's what makes you feel good and motivates you to repeat behaviors. But here's what most people don't understand. Dopamine isn't actually about pleasure. It's about anticipation. The strongest dopamine release doesn't happen when you get the reward. It happens when you're expecting it. That's why you can't stop checking your phone even when nothing interesting is happening. Your brain is constantly anticipating the next hit, the next notification, the next moment of stimulation. Now, natural rewards, like completing a challenging project, mastering a skill, or building meaningful relationships. These also trigger dopamine. But they do it slowly, sustainably, and in a way that actually builds your capacity for future success. Artificial rewards like social media, video games, and endless entertainment flood your system with dopamine so quickly and intensely that they make natural rewards seem boring by comparison. Think of it like this. If natural rewards are like a nutritious meal that satisfies you for hours, artificial rewards are like eating pure sugar. The sugar gives you an immediate rush, but it crashes quickly and leaves you hungrier than before. Over time, if you keep eating sugar, healthy food starts to taste bland. Your palate becomes so accustomed to intense sweetness that you lose the ability to appreciate subtle, natural flavors. This is exactly what's happening to your motivation system. You've been feeding your brain so much artificial stimulation that the natural satisfaction of meaningful work has lost its appeal. The quiet joy of focused effort, the deep contentment of gradual progress, the authentic pride of overcoming challenges, these experiences can't compete with the immediate intensity of digital dopamine. I want to tell you about Marie. Maria was one of the most talented painters I ever met. She had a gift that could have changed the art world. But every time she sat down to create, she felt restless. The slow, methodical process of developing her craft seemed torturous compared to the instant entertainment available on her devices. Instead of spending her evenings painting, Maria would binge watch series after series. Instead of studying the masters and practicing her technique, she would scroll through endless feeds of other people's artwork, comparing herself and feeling increasingly inadequate. The very tool that could have connected her with inspiration became the weapon that destroyed her motivation. For 3 years, Maria's easel collected dust while her talent withered away. She had convinced herself she was taking a break, recharging her creative batteries. But what she was really doing was training her brain to expect instant gratification. She was rewiring her neural pathways to find the sustained focus required for artistic mastery unbearably difficult. But Maria's story doesn't end there. One day, she made a decision that changed everything. She recognized that her brain had been hijacked, and she decided to take it back. She deleted every entertainment app from her phone. She put her television in storage. She created an environment where the only available dopamine came from her art. The first week was agony. Her brain screamed for stimulation. She felt anxious, bored, and constantly tempted to reinstall her apps. But Maria pushed through, and something miraculous began to happen. As her brain adjusted to the absence of artificial stimulation, natural rewards became satisfying again. The feel of paint on canvas started to excite her. The challenge of capturing light and shadow became engaging. The slow process of skill development transformed from torture into pleasure. Within 6 months, Maria had created her first masterpiece. Within a year, she was selling her work. Within 2 years, she had her first gallery exhibition. But the most important transformation wasn't in her art, it was in her brain. She had restored her ability to find deep satisfaction in meaningful work. This is what I call neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to rewire itself based on your choices. Every behavior you repeat strengthens certain neural pathways while weakening others. Right now, you've strengthened the pathways that crave instant gratification and weakened the pathways that find joy in sustained effort. But the beautiful truth is this: you can rebuild those pathways. You can retrain your brain to find genuine satisfaction in the work that matters. You can restore your natural capacity for focus, discipline, and authentic achievement. But here's where most people get it wrong. They think success is supposed to feel good. They expect motivation to carry them through. They believe that if they're truly following their purpose, the work should be exciting, energizing, and constantly rewarding. This is perhaps the most dangerous lie ever told about achievement. The raw truth is this: real success is built in the boring moments. It's forged in the times when you don't feel like doing the work, when nobody is watching, when there's no immediate reward in sight. Every person who has ever accomplished anything meaningful had to spend countless hours doing things that felt mundane, repetitive, and unrewarding. I knew a man named Robert who spent 40 years perfecting the art of violin making. Not playing the violin, making them, while his friends were out enjoying themselves. Robert was in his workshop, shaving wood, adjusting measurements, testing sound quality, day after day, month after month, year after year. The same meticulous process, repeated thousands of times. People thought Robert was wasting his life. They couldn't understand why he chose such solitary, tedious work when he could have been doing something more exciting, more social, more immediately profitable. But Robert understood something they didn't. He knew that mastery isn't about feeling good. It's about doing good work regardless of how you feel after 4 decades of this seemingly boring routine. Robert created an instrument so perfect that the world's greatest musicians traveled across continents just to play it. His violins now sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars. But more importantly, Robert achieved something most people never experience. He became fully himself. He expressed his unique gift completely. The difference between Robert and most people isn't talent, it isn't luck, it isn't circumstances. The difference is that Robert made peace with boredom. He learned to find satisfaction not in external stimulation, but in the internal knowledge that he was becoming excellent at something that mattered. This is what our dopamine-addicted culture doesn't want you to know. Boredom is not your enemy. Boredom is the space where your authentic self emerges. When you remove all the artificial excitement, all the digital distractions, all the easy pleasures, what remains is your true nature seeking expression. But you've been taught to fear boredom, to run from it, to medicate it with endless entertainment. You've been conditioned to believe that if something doesn't feel exciting, it's not worth doing. This conditioning is stealing your destiny. Every skill worth developing requires thousands of hours of practice that nobody will ever see or celebrate. Every business worth building demands years of work that generates no social media likes or public recognition. Every relationship worth having needs daily investments of attention that feel ordinary and unremarkable. The people you admire, the ones whose lives seem extraordinary, they all went through extended periods of doing work that felt completely ordinary. They learned to love the process more than the outcome. They discovered that true fulfillment comes not from consuming excitement, but from creating value. This is why successful people often seem different from everyone else. They're not more talented or more lucky. They're more comfortable with discomfort. They've trained themselves to find meaning in the mundane. They've developed the ability to work without needing to feel motivated, while others are chasing the next thrill, the next entertainment, the next dopamine hit. Successful people are quietly building something significant. They understand that extraordinary results come from doing ordinary things extraordinarily well, consistently, over long periods of time. The tragedy of our current moment is that an entire generation has been robbed of this understanding. You've been sold the idea that life should be constantly stimulating, that work should always be fun, that if you're not excited about what you're doing the wrong thing. But I'm here to tell you that this is backwards. The right thing often feels wrong at first. Your purpose might bore you before it fulfills you. Your destiny might feel like drudgery before it feels like destiny. So how do you break free? How do you escape the trap that's captured millions of brilliant minds and wasted countless destinies? The answer is simpler than you think, but harder than you want it to be. You must deliberately starve your brain of artificial stimulation until natural motivation returns. This isn't about becoming a monk or rejecting all technology. This is about recalibrating your reward system so that meaningful work becomes naturally satisfying again. I call this the zero dopamine protocol. And it has the power to transform your life completely. Let me tell you about David. David was 23 years old, living in his parents' basement, spending 12 hours a day playing video games and watching videos. He had dreams of starting his own business, but every time he tried to work on it, he felt overwhelmed and bored. The instant gratification of his games made everything else seem impossibly difficult. David's life changed the day he made a radical decision. He deleted every entertainment app from his phone. He sold his gaming console. He canceled his streaming subscriptions. He removed every source of easy dopamine from his environment. His friends thought he had lost his mind. The first week was brutal. David felt anxious, restless, and constantly tempted to reinstall his apps. His brain was experiencing withdrawal from the artificial stimulation it had become dependent on. But instead of giving in, David channeled that restless energy into action with nothing else to distract him. David began working on his business idea for real. At first, it felt torturous. Research was boring. Planning was tedious. Writing business proposals felt like punishment. But David had no other option for stimulation, so he pushed through. Something remarkable began to happen as David's brain adjusted to the absence of artificial rewards. Natural rewards became satisfying again. Completing a section of his business plan started to feel good. Learning new skills became engaging. Making progress on his goals triggered genuine excitement. Within 3 months, David had launched his first product. Within 6 months, he was generating steady income. Within a year, he had moved into his own apartment and was running a profitable business. But the most important change wasn't external, it was internal. David had rewired his brain to find deep satisfaction in meaningful work. The zero dopamine protocol isn't about permanent deprivation. It's about temporary reset. Just like fasting allows your body to restore its natural hunger signals, removing artificial stimulation allows your brain to restore its natural motivation signals. Start with 1 week. Remove every source of easy entertainment from your environment. No social media, no streaming services, no video games, no mindless browsing. When you feel the urge for stimulation, redirect that energy into work that matters to your future during this week. You'll experience discomfort. Your brain will protest. You'll feel bored, anxious, and constantly tempted to return to your old patterns. This discomfort is not a sign that something is wrong. It's a sign that something is working. You're breaking the artificial dependency that has been holding you back. As you continue this protocol, you'll begin to notice changes. Tasks that once seemed impossibly boring will start to feel manageable. Goals that once felt overwhelming will begin to seem achievable. The quiet satisfaction of meaningful work will slowly replace your need for constant stimulation. This is not about living a joyless life. This is about rediscovering authentic joy, the kind that comes from creating value, developing your gifts, and expressing your unique purpose. The kind of joy that no algorithm can manufacture and no corporation can sell you. There's something I need you to understand about yourself that changes everything. You were not created by accident. You are not a random collection of atoms stumbling through an indifferent universe. You are a carefully designed solution to a specific problem that exists in this world. Inside you right now are gifts, talents, and abilities that no one else possesses in quite the same combination. Your unique perspective, your particular way of thinking, your specific set of experiences. All of this was orchestrated to prepare you for a purpose that only you can fulfill. But here's the tragedy. Most people will die without ever expressing their true design. They'll spend their entire lives consuming other people's creativity instead of releasing their own. They'll chase artificial pleasures while their authentic purpose withers away unused. They'll trade their irreplaceable uniqueness for temporary entertainment. This doesn't have to be your story. Let me share with you something that happened just last year that perfectly illustrates what I'm talking about. There was a young woman named Isabella who worked as a night shift security guard at a downtown office building. Night after night, she sat at her desk, scrolling through her phone, watching videos, living vicariously through other people's adventures. Isabella felt trapped, bored, and convinced that her life had no real significance. But Isabella had a gift she didn't even recognize. Every time she walked through those empty office buildings during her rounds, she noticed things. She saw how the spaces were arranged, how the lighting affected the mood, how small changes in design could make enormous differences in how people felt. She had an intuitive understanding of environments and how they influence human behavior. For 2 years, Isabella ignored this gift. It seemed irrelevant to her life, useless in her current situation. Instead of developing this natural ability, she escaped into digital entertainment. She spent her break times watching interior design shows, scrolling through architecture feeds, consuming content about the very thing she had a natural talent for, but never creating anything herself. The turning point came when Isabella decided to implement the zero dopamine protocol. She deleted all her entertainment apps and committed to spending her quiet hours at work developing her gift instead of numbing it. With nothing else to occupy her mind, she began to really observe the spaces around her. She started sketching layouts, noting what worked and what didn't, thinking about how different arrangements might improve the energy of each room initially. This felt pointless. There was no immediate reward, no likes or comments, no external validation, just Isabella, alone with her thoughts and observations, slowly developing her natural ability to understand space and design. Many nights, she was tempted to give up and return to her familiar digital distractions, but Isabella persisted. She used her security job as an unpaid internship in environmental observation. She studied every office, every lobby, every conference room. She began to understand principles of design that most people never notice, but everyone feels. During her off months, instead of binge-watching shows, she read books about architecture and interior design. Instead of scrolling through social media, she practiced sketching and space planning. After 6 months of this disciplined focus, Isabella had developed enough knowledge and skill to start offering simple design consultations to friends and family. Her first project was rearranging her sister's small apartment. The transformation was so dramatic that her sister's friends began asking who had done the work. Word spread. Isabella began getting requests for consultations. She discovered that her years of observing different office environments had given her unique insights into how spaces affect productivity and mood. She started specializing in helping small businesses optimize their layouts for better employee performance and customer experience. Within a year, Isabella had left her security job and was running her own design consultancy. Within 2 years, she was earning more than she ever imagined possible. But the most remarkable change wasn't financial, it was personal. Isabella had become fully alive. She woke up excited about her work. She felt connected to something larger than herself. She had discovered the deep satisfaction that comes from expressing your authentic design. But here's what makes Isabella's story so powerful. Her gift was always there. Her ability to understand environments and influence human behavior through design didn't suddenly appear when she started her business. It was present every night during those security rounds. It was evident in how she naturally arranged her own living space. It was obvious in how she instinctively knew what felt right in any room she entered. The only thing that changed was her attention. When Isabella stopped feeding her brain artificial stimulation, she became aware of the gift that had been operating within her all along. When she eliminated digital distractions, she created space for her authentic self to emerge. When she chose discipline over pleasure, she unlocked access to her true purpose. This is your story too. Right now, as you listen to these words, there's a gift operating within you that the world desperately needs. There's a solution you're designed to provide, a problem you're uniquely equipped to solve, a contribution that only you can make. But you can't access this gift while your attention is scattered across 1,000 meaningless distractions. Your purpose isn't hiding from you, you're hiding from your purpose. Every hour you spend consuming artificial entertainment is an hour you're not spending discovering your authentic design. Every moment of digital distraction is a moment stolen from your destiny. The choice you make today will echo through eternity. You can continue down the path of artificial stimulation, trading your irreplaceable potential for temporary pleasure. watching your unique gifts atrophy while you consume other people's creativity. Or you can choose the harder path, the path of zero dopamine, authentic work, and genuine fulfillment. Your brain will resist this choice. It will tell you that meaningful work is boring, that delayed gratification is unnecessary, that you deserve to feel good right now. But your brain is not your destiny. Your brain is simply a tool that can either serve your purpose or sabotage it, depending on how you train it. The world is waiting for what you have to offer. There are problems that will remain unsolved until you solve them. There are people who will remain unhelped until you help them. There are innovations that will remain unrealized until you realize them. Your unique combination of gifts, experiences, and perspectives is not accidental, it's essential. But accessing these gifts requires that you break free from the dopamine trap that's holding you captive. It demands that you choose sustained effort over instant gratification, meaningful work over mindless entertainment, authentic purpose over artificial pleasure. The time for excuses has ended. The time for delay has passed. Your destiny is not something that might happen someday. It's something that must begin today. Every moment you wait is a moment your purpose remains unexpressed. Your gifts remain unused. Your authentic self remains hidden. Start now. Delete the apps. Cancel the subscriptions. Remove the distractions. Create space for your true self to emerge. Choose the discomfort of growth over the comfort of stagnation. Your future self is depending on the decision you make right now. Your designed destiny is waiting. The question is, will you finally answer the call?